Alright, the other day I was chilling, not doing much, and for some reason, the memory of this Ben 10 movie crossed my mind. And for a minute, I wasn't even sure if it was real. I thought maybe it was just some random thought that I had as a kid that kind of stuck with me, but after looking up live action Ben 10 movies, I came across it. Ben 10 Alien Swarm. Just for nostalgia purposes, I had to give her a watch. The dialogue's corny, the acting's not great at all, the CGI's pretty bad, but it's just one of those movies that stuck with me, and it's got that nostalgia factor, so I had to make a video on it. The movie opens up with Kevin speeding down the road in his green machine. He pulls up to an abandoned warehouse and meets a sketchy looking dude. Also, I want to say sorry in advance for if I'm unfamiliar with some things. I haven't watched Ben 10 since I was like 10, but anyways, the sketchy dude shoots a text and 3 people show up on motorcycles. They're here to sell alien technology. Problem is, they don't even know what it is or what it does. That's when Gwen and Ben Tennyson come out from behind a corner. No clue how they got there. Whatever the alien tech is, it starts fucking with Ben's Omnitrix. Then, a chick that was still sitting on her bike calls out the group for being plumbers.
They're plumbers. Plumbers are a secret interplanetary security force.
She then walks up all dramatically and takes off her helmet, revealing herself as Elena, who was apparently good friends with Ben when they were kids. She tells Ben she needs his help because someone snatched up her dad.
Call the cops.
That's actually a good idea. Elena says that idea won't work though, and she also says her dad's disappearance is connected to these chips, and as they're talking, we see a man creeping on him from above looking exactly like the dude from the Goosebumps intro. Same fit, same atmosphere, fuck, even same color grading to be honest. He activates the chips which break through the vials and start swarming everyone. Ben's Omnitrix still isn't working though, so he runs over and moves a beam into a pile of chips. Some of the chips then pile up and start heading towards Gwen, who does an absolutely unnecessary back handspring and then blasts the pile of chips. Kevin climbs up on this and absorbs the material, then smacks another horde of chips. The group finally looks up and see the dude controlling the chips, so Ben runs up and we get our first transformation when he turns himself into Big Chill. Yes, of course I remember all the names of the OG aliens. Fucking goated show. Also, 10 out of 10 CGI baby. Big Chill flies up and starts freezing the massive horde of chips until it blows up and the chips are all toast. He then goes after the Goosebumps guy who sends a horde his way, which he dodges. Then he tries freezing the guy over, but he fucking jump street dives out the way while throwing a horde at Gwen, which distracts Big Chill, and the guy somehow just disappears out of there. The group pulls up to a repair shop where they talk about how weird this whole situation is. Gwen and Kevin don't trust Elena, but Ben wants to help her. They then head down to the base and start doing a bunch of research on the nanochip things to try and figure out what they are and where they came from. They figure out that the chips are part tech, part alive. Ben's grandpa Max then shows up and they get him in on the deeds, and he claims to have seen these chips before. But then an alarm goes off saying someone's in the building. They search the place and find Elena. She says she arranged that meeting earlier to find the plumbers to help her find her dad, but Max tells her to piss off and leave because he doesn't trust her. After she's gone, Max brings up her father Victor Valadez, who was also a plumber who worked with Max, but Victor started stealing alien tech so he got booted out. Ben still wants to help Elena though, mainly because he probably wants to try to lay some pipe down on her. I mean, let's be honest here. So Ben goes off on his own and somehow finds Elena in the middle of the street and stops her and then tells her he's here to help. So they start heading to where Elena first got the chips, and while they do that, Kevin and Gwen start looking through the files trying to figure out more info on the chips. We then cut to the Goosebumps guy talking to himself and walking around at night when 2 guys try to rob him.
Time for you to give us your money.
Peak acting right there, boys. The Goosebumps guy opens his coat up and has some of these chips infect these 2 losers, which turns them into like these infected puppets. Ben and Elena pull up to the spot where Elena claims she first found the chips, and she also found her dad coming here while acting strange a little while ago, but Goosebumps guy and his army of puppets are here too. So as soon as Ben and Elena walk in, they all walk out and pack some totes into a van. The army of infected then walk in on Ben and Elena.
Who are you? What do you want?
More peak acting. Ben notices their eyes sparkling and the chip things crawling around under their skin. He tries to use his Omnitrix, but yet again, it's not working. I'm pretty sure they did that just to save budget for later fights. I don't know. Ben and Elena start getting surrounded though, so they run for the back door and Ben punches an infected and Elena throws him off the stairs. Ben's able to use the Omnitrix to scan the chip's DNA, and then he uses the Omnitrix to make like an EMP blast thing, and he blasts a few of them away. They then get on their bikes to dip out, but Elena crashes, so Ben pulls through to pick her up, and here's my favorite part. They drive off, and Elena hits a drive-by juicer to this guy's lips. Completely unnecessary, yet super necessary at the same time. Kevin and Gwen find an interview of Victor Valadez with Max, and in the interview, Victor says the chips are alive and coming for them, but Max didn't believe it. But seeing this makes Kevin and Gwen think maybe Victor could be right and the chips could be alive and planning something big. So Kevin does some random typing on the keyboard and is able to find the locations of all the chips within a 100-mile radius. And they find that a big thing of chips are at the ship center. We cut to Kevin breaking down the door and then searching around the ship center. They're able to find order slips to every part of the world originating from here, So someone was sending chips all across the globe. A random worker just pops up on some creep shit, and his eyes also have that little sparkle. The infected worker tells Kevin and Gwen to join them, and honestly, Kevin seems convinced. Never mind. They get into their car but turn around and see the worker motioning with his hands, then a horde of chips roll up and start smacking the car. They drive off, but the chips turn into some shadows of evil meatball things and chase them down. So Kevin pops a Yui, which destroys one of the meatballs, and another smashes into a wall, but then they come back and turn into 3 spiky meatballs, so I guess all that work was for nothing. We cut to Ben and Elena, who are chilling when they hear Kevin's car booking it. The spikes eventually are able to crash Kevin's car, then turn into one massive ass meatball, again with spikes. But Ben rolls up just in time and turns into Humongosaur, and all things considered, it doesn't look too bad. Better than half the shit out today. He runs over and smashes up the big spiky meatball. Then they turn into little donut things, which Humongosaur also easily destroys. But then they start coming out the woodwork and shooting everything up, so Ben grabs the car and smashes the final big chip thing. And that's about all for the budget right there, boys. They get back to base and find that the whole planet is being bent over and by these chips, so Max puts his issues aside and decides to help even with Elena there. After Max scans a couple chips, he puts one away, but one's able to slip out without him noticing. Ben remembers that when he was cornered, the infected were yapping about a queen, so the group figures there's probably a queen like in a beehive. So, you take out the queen, you take out all the chips. So they all get to work trying to figure out how to find the queen and stop the chips, and while they're doing all this, the stray chip climbs onto Max. Later that night, Ben goes looking for Max for his help with something, and like straight out of a horror movie, he just pops up behind him holding a fucking TV. Kevin absorbs a tire and knocks him out before he gets too buck wild with that TV. And after Max wakes up, they figure out pretty quickly he's infected.
Are you okay?
Never better.
And then he hits a button which releases some smoke and he bounces out of there. So I guess they didn't strap him down after he was knocked out for whatever reason. But whatever, they don't need Max. They look at where the chips are located and notice they're all in big cities except for one group of chips which is in the middle of nowhere. But this place in the middle of nowhere has one thing: the Ship It distribution center. So they want to go over there. Problem is, they don't have a ride. But the next morning, Kevin unveils the car he's been working on for Ben, so they take the new whip out and head over to the Ship It Center. There, they find an army of infected people carrying boxes of chips. They somehow sneak past this army and end up inside the building, and they find workers stacking and packing the chips up. And they also find the Queen, who happens to be the Goosebumps guy, who also happens to be Elena's dad, Victor. And these big-ass tubes are extracting all the chips from him. So the group comes together, and they're like, alright, the Queen's inside Victor, kill him, kill the Queen, boom, save the day. Pretty solid plan. But Ben and Elena are against this idea, and instead, because the Omnitrix already scanned the chip's DNA, Ben wants to become one of them and take out the Queen from the inside. But while they're discussing this, an infected grabs Elena, and she's able to two-piece him and knock him out, but the other infected noticed this. So all hell breaks loose. Ben uses the Omnitrix to become Nanomech, and he flies over and shrinks down into Victor's sniffer. The group starts beating the shit out of these sorry saps who are going to wake up with a mean headache, while Ben fights off the Queen in an epic, terrible CGI fight. Gwen does another super unnecessary, but necessary backflip and blasts a few infected. Kevin absorbs the floor and takes out a few more. Elena's smacking around some more. And after about a minute, Ben's able to upgrade himself and take out the Queen, which cleanses everyone that was infected, I guess. And boom, the day is saved.
Hello, I just saved the world again.
Acting.
The group find Max, and they all walk off happily into the sunset. I swear this movie was goated when I was 8, bro. Big shout out to my top tier Patreon members, Moon Sage, Jake Black, and Brandon Jones. Love you guys. If you want to support the channel and get extra content, you can join my Patreon. Link in the description. But yeah, that was Ben 10 Alien Swarm. Came across it, had to make a video on it. But let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below and what videos you guys want to see next. But that's all I've got for you guys today. So I'll see you in the next one.